Welcome back to For the Love of Men. My name is Courtney Schand. I'm hosting with my friend Bree Mosier. And For the Love of Men really is built for the intention of bringing together men and women in harmonious, healthy, polarized relationships by highlighting and activating each other's natural masculine and feminine core. So before we dive into today's topic, Bree, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for new listeners.
For the new listeners, my work in the world is, the best way to say it is pleasure and abundance and feminine energy activation. That's what I do. I mostly work with female entrepreneurs, starting and scaling their businesses through pleasure and feminine energy, so they're not hustling in this burnt out masculine, and helping them attract healthy, empowered masculine partners through amplifying their pleasure, through amplifying feminine energy. That is my work in the world. Courtney, what is your magic in the world? I could tell the people your magic in the world, but
go ahead.
You tell it. Then go on. Say more about me.
Anything else?
Anything else?
My name is Courtney Schand, and I help people find healthy partnerships by activating or really empowering their masculine energy so that their feminine energy, their heart, naturally shines. I do this in relationships and health as well, and that's really my magic in the world, is helping people get clear on what empowered masculine energy looks and feels like, all the facets of that. So I love it, how to speak to it, how to engage it when you need it, and how to let it support you.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Love it.
We want to jump into
Yeah.
why dating strategies don't work.
Whew.
Yeah. Courtney.
Don't even get me started.
Don't even get her started. I'm going to get you
Get
started.
me started. Go ahead.
Courtney, why don't dating strategies work?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you haven't listened to the episode on the wounded energies, it might be worth listening to, because dating strategies actually play to our wounded energies. They play to our wounds and insecurities, which is the reason that they're so attractive and appealing. What can we do in a form of control to get the other person to relieve this tension and discomfort for me? Which is the essence of the wound.
Totally.
No one likes feeling that discomfort. And when we have a dating strategy, we can kind of reverse engineer or have some sort of guarantee that we get what we want out of it, instead of having to sit in the discomfort and do the soul searching and the courageous act of being authentically ourselves.
I mean, think about it. When do you reach for a dating strategy, quote unquote? When you're not getting what you want out of a potential partner.
Yeah.
When you're wounded, or trying to pull someone out of their wounded.
Yeah.
Before we get ahead of ourselves, what do we mean by dating strategies?
Give us an example.
The first thing that comes to my mind is tabloids, Cosmopolitan, 10 ways to make him want you, or even some posts that you'll see on the internet that are like 10 fatal mistakes that women make in dating, and 3 guaranteed ways to get him to see you as wife material. Like, all of this kind of marketing is playing off of a dating strategy, which Courtney and I were talking about before we started recording. Dating strategies can be helpful scaffolding for you, as in having a plan. Like, a lot of these things will be, a rule that you don't go back to his house before date 5, or that what's another example of a dating strategy? You don't call.
Yeah, you don't
him.
call.
He needs to call you.
Yeah.
These things that can be supportive
Acting
in the
busy.
beginning. Acting busy when you're, oh God.
Wait 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Respond in as much time as he responded. That's the worst. That one drives me nuts.
It's really AKA games.
Yeah.
And these things can be good scaffolding if you're in a wounded place, learning to get near empowered at times, but quite quickly the training wheels have to come off. And the strategy has to be gone, and it has to be about, as you brilliantly said before the show, learning to trust yourself and your feelings versus an external source that's telling you, if you wait 5 days to sleep with him and you wait 20 minutes to text him back, then he's going to see you as wife material. And no, you're trading your authenticity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the person that's going to be attracted to that is going to be not the version of them that you would rather have either.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be bringing out their insecure, wounded parts as well. And really, when you're in the game of goodness of fit, which is what we always talk about in the empowered feminine space, why would you want to poke someone else's insecurity that should turn you off? Should turn them off.
Yeah. Yeah, because what's happening, so if you're employing one of these strategies going, okay, I'm dating this man and I'm not getting what I want out of him, so I'm going to employ this strategy of essentially playing hard to get, right? Playing a game, but we sell it as attraction psychology.
Yeah.
The version of that person you're going to call forth, even if it quote unquote works, meaning they give you attention, is going to be typically the avoidantly attached type and or more wounded energy. You're going to get energy that wants validation, that wants love, that's seeking approval, that's trying to have the shiny objects. You don't attract secure, empowered masculine men by playing games. In fact, Courtney, how do secure, empowered masculine men react when you play games?
Well, I think...
Or women.
Ooh. Well, I can say as women...
Yeah.
If I were dating a man that employed some of these strategies, it would be a pink flag for me. As in, like, you get one strike and I'm going to note it. And then we're done.
Yeah.
And that's it. You might get to strike two before they drop you like it's hot. And they won't think twice about it. Not in a mean way, but in a, like, ooh, not safe person. Step away.
There's a power play happening.
Yeah. When you start to smell that like power dynamic shifting, no healthy person is going to want to enter into a power play. Sports reference number 1. But that really is true. That hierarchy of power, when that starts getting shifted, and what we talk about with empowered masculine energy being the protector provider is to support the feminine. That's not a power dynamic or a power struggle. It's both of you authentically getting your needs met in a way that is congruent and works for both of you, versus the wounded model, which is him controlling everything and or you playing damsel in distress so that he will inspire his masculine energy, which just does not work.
Yeah. You're going to end up with wounds.
All over.
Triggering. Everyone's triggering. It's a shit show. You're not bringing out the best in anybody. You're bringing out both sides of both people who are looking for validation and love and approval because they don't feel good enough.
Yeah.
The flip side of dating in an empowered way is going to bring out the best in that person and make them feel empowered and seen and in their power. You know?
Yeah, and that's actually really beautiful because when we've both gotten feedback that we shared is like, when you are dating in an empowered way, the other person feels their power, which is attractive. Yeah. That's the ultimate attraction tool, is when the other person feels empowered, not powerful, as in, I could leave at any moment. You can. Both of you can leave at any moment. You're adults. But, like, not in that lording over power way. Doesn't making sense or clarifying.
Not dominating.
Yes, thank you. It's not like this, like, I get to control my power by dominating the other person and holding all the cards. It's like, you're equally powerful. And when that's the feedback that your partner gives, that is a really good indicator, because we all want to feel dignified and powerful. We want to feel our power, not be stripped of us. That's not going to be a really good indicator of let's move forward with this, in my opinion. So
yeah, secure partners are attracted to clear communication, authenticity, knowing where they stand with you, be it men or women, I would say, masculine or feminine.
I agree.
Anytime I've encountered in the dating process a man who I can tell is like playing hard to get, I don't get these anymore, but there was definitely a phase in my life where I was getting these people, attracting in these people, and when they would play hard to get or they would pretend not to care or be aloof, if I felt more interested, I had to ground myself and be like, Brie, this is the wounded part of you that is seeking love and validation from someone simply because they won't give it to you.
Yep.
And this is where you pour love into yourself and remind yourself, right, this is about me and my validation. And then after I healed that in the dating realm, if somebody were to play games with me, it felt like an immediate no. You know that reel that's like, immediately no, immediately no.
Yeah.
That's how I felt like. If you're going to wait 20 minutes or tell me, oh, I was out with such and such girls and try to make me jealous, bye.
Have fun.
Unavailable. And because of that, like, strong discernment around, yeah, I'm just not available for that. Now the men that come into my world do not even, like, nowhere close to that. I don't get game players at all anymore. I get people who are definitely seeking partnership and relationship from an authentic place. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that's really a good point too, is because when you're, and there's a fine line between like your partner needing to feel secure and it being your responsibility. There are some things that you're responsible to the relationship to maintain security. And usually that's worth having a conversation around. Like, hey, if you're going to take some space and go do your thing, fine, but let me know.
Right.
I have to have this conversation with my partner. Like, hey, it's fine if you need space for yourself, but just let me know so that I'm not like, off reeling. And that's a real actual confidence move because you're expressing what you need. Like, it feels really vulnerable in the moment, like you're feeling needy or whatever you've been told that it is. But honestly, that's the most confident move that you can take because you're getting your needs met without pulling on them.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
yeah. Yeah, and trying to inspire. It's really about not trying to inspire, but bringing out the best version of another person. And when you're using strategies and playing games, you're not going to get the best version of them. You're going to get the wounded version.
Yeah. And bringing out the best in them is not a strategy either.
It's truly believing in other people and seeing the best in them internally. You said something really brilliant to me several weeks ago about why dating strategies don't work. And you had said that they essentially teach us to not honor our internal feelings and intuition, but we outsource our power to a different authority. Can you expand on that? Show us your brilliance.
So, in my experience with watching dating strategies, consuming content in this way, what I have found is that when we're feeling wobbly, usually that's not a very empowered place to come from. So you're already kind of coming from a wounded space and you're looking for stability. And so in that space, when you're wobbly and looking for stability, anyone that is standing upright is going to seem more stable than you.
Yeah.
You're not able to discern, are they actually giving me grounded feedback and grounded advice from a place of an empowered version of themselves? They're doing the best that they can too, and I'm just kind of grasping at straws. And so when we're not coming from a place of trusting ourselves, and this is where dating strategies can be really helpful, is that they are meant to reprogram a pattern. So to create awareness around, wow, do I always go back to this man's house after the first date? Do I always do, like whatever the thing is, the rule that you're setting for yourself, act as if it's a boundary, an outgoing boundary for you. Like, I'm not going to cross this boundary for myself. I'm going to put a little nudge there for myself to bring awareness when I would normally collapse that and go into my wounded space of people pleasing. Very different pattern than if you are to use these strategies in a way of creating an outcome so that you don't have to feel vulnerable and wobble on your own. We're always trying to find this like center of gravity for ourselves, which is trusting ourselves and that we are able to be okay win, lose, or draw. That's the confident, empowered space of dating. And we're sharing those experiences of our wobbles because this is really what empowered dating looks and feels like. Is, I don't know, I'm going to try it and see what happens because I trust that I can deal with it. But when we don't actually have that empowered, grounded space within us, we're actually going to be looking outside of ourselves for all these different opinions to validate and create that sense of security that we're not able to create internally. So the goal is to trust yourself more through the strategies. So use them as a way of kind of slowing yourself down or slowing your normal pattern. If you're used to going full steam into a relationship, maybe that's where a strategy of, okay, we go on 3 dates before I talk about, my childhood trauma, maybe more than 3 dates. But like, if you're someone that is perpetually doing that, then you probably do need to set some boundaries for yourself. And that's what the dating strategies, that's when those are helpful, because they do create a little bit of solidarity around you while you're building your internal structure.
And
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and while you're learning to use your own internal discernment.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because eventually you don't need that 3-date rule. It's more about like sharing about your childhood trauma, right? It would be, okay, do I feel safe in this moment?
Yeah.
Is this person emotionally available for this? Am I ready to share this?
Yeah.
If they don't respond how I want them to, can I still hold myself in this?
Yep.
That might be on date number 1 that you feel solid with that. Or it might be date 10. It's not the date number. It's how do you feel in that moment in sharing it. Right. But I agree with you. I think it's good scaffolding in training wheels.
Yeah.
But it is not the solution.
No. You have to create an alternate experience, that corrective experience that you always talk about. Like you have to actually create something else to notice, hey, this is different. Oh, I can actually do this. So that's where those scaffolding or the strategies can come in handy, because they're actually creating an alternate reality for you. You try on other people's boundaries, like, oh, that's what you used as a boundary. I'm going to try that one on for size. No, that actually doesn't fit for me. Okay. Maybe I'm going to wear it around for a while and kind of let it, form to myself and see how it feels. And then maybe I actually don't want this anymore and I take it off. And that's no longer a boundary that I need to uphold because it wasn't mine. I was kind of borrowing it. That makes sense too?
Yeah.
Have you used boundaries like that? Because
Totally.
I know I have.
Yeah, I've taken advice from lots of people around. When I was first learning to date again, it's like, what are the rules? When you start dating again, you're like, wait, hold on a second. What's changed?
Yeah.
What are the new rules, guys? Let me in. Like,
does everyone know the rules and I don't?
What are we doing? Where's the rule book? Somebody tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's how I felt. And so I would take advice from well-meaning people. Yeah, and it just didn't fit for me. And you have to really know what's aligned for you, because it's not ever the strategy. I also found, I think the clarity for me when I was moving out of dating strategies into really trusting myself was noticing the discord when I was implementing a quote unquote strategy or these kind of boundaries around like, okay, date 5, then we can sleep together, how it thwarted the energy in the moment with that person. Like I would be present with that man and we are in tune with each other and the energy is there and I felt good about sleeping together and he would feel good about it, but in my head I had this shame around, but it's not date 5. And they would feel it and then they would think, wait, I thought we were like, aren't we both connected? Or I thought I was feeling this from you, and then you pull away and then what is it? And I think it's fine if it's an internal commitment and you want to honor that, that's great. But yeah, the energy would just get knocked because the feeling was there, but the rule was taking over. So if you take sex out of the equation, because sometimes that can be triggering for people. Let's say you're on date 3 and you make this decision you're not going to share about your trauma till date 5. But on date 3, he's connected and he's aware and he's open and you're like, gosh, I really feel like I would like to share about this intimate part of myself.
Yeah.
But then you don't, and there's this gap of
Cavern.
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where there could have been such great intimacy and connection, but you lose the moment because you're so stuck to this rule. I think it can really get in the way.
Wow. So it's kind of like you're giving him green flag, green flag, green flag, halt. Like,
And he's like, what the?
yeah.
Wait, are we? What?
Was I?
It's
what
confusing
was-
to them.
And then they ghost you and you're like, it was because I didn't sleep with them. Nope.
Could be an example. Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. Whatever your thing was that you were like holding as the ultimate thing. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And that
Wow.
person's probably coming up with a million stories in their head. Not that we are responsible for that,
Yeah.
but I mean, imagine if that's happening, right? You're vibing with somebody and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, and bye. Like they don't meet you there. You're like, well, what happened? What is it? It's because you're latching onto this strategy that really isn't fitting or helpful in that moment. If the end goal is partnership and intimacy and the moment's inviting that, but you're letting it go because you're clinging to a strategy, not helpful anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, so good. This is my theory about like bringing your boundaries inside that we talked about months ago, probably around that conversation, is like at some point your boundaries are no longer based on the rules. They're not outside boundaries keeping you safe. They're actually internal boundaries that are keeping you sturdy. And there's a big difference between a fence and the like bones of the house. You know, like if you're doing renovations, you need to know where the load-bearing walls are in the house. The fence in the backyard is not going to really be necessary when you're doing renovation. You can bulldoze that all together. But you cannot get rid of the structure of the house or it's all going to collapse. And that's what you're actually doing, is bringing those boundaries inside so that you have this sturdy structure that you get to build and reformat and rearrange however works best for you as you grow and develop as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. You say it best when you say they're feeling-based boundaries versus strategy. I think that's what you're getting at right now, right? Is like, how am I feeling internally versus looking for an external boundary of, okay, by date 5 we do this. Or if, when we check all these boxes, then we can do that. I've waited 20 minutes so I can text back.
Gosh.
By the way, just anecdotal, feel free to tell me if this hasn't been your experience, Courtney, but any empowered masculine man I've dated and it's worked out to whatever degree that looked like, it's never been make or break how fast you text someone back. Like, not at all. And I think that'd be another example of it thwarting the communication and conversation if I was continually waiting when I'm there and I'm looking at the message and I want to connect with this person. You know?
Yeah. I think it's so important to distinguish, though, like we talk about this pendulum, you have to kind of swing to the other side before you find the middle.
Yes.
Is often the healing pattern for most people. They'll kind of swing all the way to the other end. And sometimes that's necessary so that you create enough space in your behavior pattern that you're able to see, like, ooh, that's not how I want to do this anymore. And you find a happy medium that feels more congruent for you. That's very different than when you're playing these games as a way of not having to do that. You know, you kind of are riding this pendulum and finding the middle ground until you can feel what that experience, that new experience feels like. You're not going to have any way to guide yourself in moving forward.
Yeah, it's so true. I see what you're saying. If you're very much in your wounded feminine, then these boundaries, these strategies are helpful to a degree for a while until you find your center, which is totally true. And then you get to take them off when you know how to create internal safety and peace. And you use your feelings in the moment, which is much more skillful and vulnerable. Yeah.
But I think, honestly, until I got to that point, I wouldn't have known how to protect my feelings in the moment. So I needed those. So there's a place for them. It's not that they aren't helpful or we wouldn't be drawn to them because we're just needing something else. But I think the motivation is really important, because if you're trying to manipulate the situation to avoid the learning, to trust yourself, you're kind of, in my opinion, missing the benefit that you could be getting from using them.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we use these strategies because we don't innately trust ourselves to be enough. So we try these manipulation tactics, aka dating strategies, to try to make somebody want us because we don't believe that they will want us enough on their own. And that's giving our power away. That's not empowered feminine, right? What else, if anything, would you like to say about dating strategies?
I actually think that's pretty
complete.
Good. The only other thing I would mention is sometimes when you're using the dating strategy, it needs to just be a red flag. That would save you a whole lot of time.
So internally, when you're feeling like, ooh, I need a strategy to get his attention. Looking back, every single time that I was like, I need to Google what I need to do to get him to do X, Y, and Z, it should have been a red flag. That relationship didn't work out, and it was usually for that specific thing. I was just delaying the obvious because it was painful in the moment. So, and that same attention can be turned on yourself. Like, why am I needing this person to love, validate, choose me? And can I give that to myself? Can I pour that love into myself, that validation into myself?
Which kind of frees them. It cuts that cord. It frees them to show up in a more potentially empowered way. Later on, when you're not pulling on them or kind of hanging on them, they may surprise you. So.
Yep. Totally.
That's all I got now. Feels
I
clean.
feel so good about this. If you
Yeah.
guys have questions or you'd like further clarification, feel free to shoot us a message on either of our Instagrams, or I know, Courtney, you work mostly on Facebook. So tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah. So I'm on Facebook, Courtney Schand. I'm also at CourtneyShand.com, and on Instagram, I'm Courtney_Shand, and I respond to all the DMs. Make sure that you let me know that you are listening to the show and give me a little context, and I'll be sure to get you back some information as quickly as possible.
Yay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
What about you, Bree? Where do they find you?
On the Instagram.
The Instantgram, ready at hand.
You mispronounced Instagram. I mean Instagram. It's at Building Brie, BRI, and that's the best place to find me. Feel free to DM us questions, thoughts, feedback, all the things. And
I'd also love to know what strategies you have tried. If you want to reveal that, not to embarrass you, but
we'll keep it anonymous.
we'll
if
keep
you'd
it
like.
totally anonymous. But if there's a strategy that you are using that you're like, this is not working, there's probably an empowered route to it that we could talk to. Maybe give you a little mindset shift. I would love to do that. So if you care to share, let us know.
We'll give you an alternative
Yes.
to the strategy you're using.
Yes.
And maybe help you deconstruct why you feel drawn to that strategy and the healthier alternative.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Ooh, so many things.
Yeah.
And if you have questions around dating and relationships, also feel free to leave us those. We would be stoked to do like a Q&A episode with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's say that they want more deep diving with Bree.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
What do they have? What are their options?
All the things. I've got one-to-one containers open if you're wanting high-level work together. And I also have a really cool mini mastermind called the Pleasure Portal for anyone who's drawn to working with pleasure and abundance and how they're linked, mastering that vibration, diving deeper into orgasmic manifestation. That starts in December. So I'll put links there. And I know, Courtney, you have some brilliant options too.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Thanks. Yeah, so I have one-to-one options available too. In the relationship realm, I've got a women's group going through the month of December. Welcome to hop in on that. I would love to host you in that way. And then I'm also working with men, kind of working on a men's version of that, maybe more one-to-one, but that's in the works. So I would love to support you however I can in navigating the complexities of yourself and of relationships. So DM me and let me know if that's something that you're needing, either one-to-one or a group approach to, and I'll see what I can do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to put those links in the show notes. Well, Courtney will put the links in the show notes.
I will. Yep.
She takes care of our show notes so
Yep.
brilliantly. And yeah, we're excited. If you love this episode, please share it with somebody you love that would find benefit. That is the way that this show grows best, is if you just DM it to your mom or your sister or your best friend, somebody you love and care about that you want to win in dating and relationships.
Yeah.
That would mean the world to us.
Absolutely. And tag us.
Tag
if you do. Yeah.
Amazing.
Let us know.
All right, you guys. Thank you for listening. We
See
will
you
see you
next time.
soon.